Alright, so in yesterday's session, we have learned how to create a screen and how to map it to a project, right? And we have taken the project Suresh as an example. And for the issue type development, we have created a new screen and then we have added 5 different fields onto the new screen. And since yesterday is the very first day that we have stepped into the screens topic, it took almost 40 minutes for us to understand how we can add the fields onto the screen and how we can map the screen to a project. Now in today's session, I quickly would like to take one more example, the very similar way, and then we try to complete that particular ticket in less than 10 minutes of time, so that it will be um, maybe useful like a revision, and then we step into another different example in the screens topic. Alright, let me open Word and let me start typing the ticket. Hi team, we would like to have the development issue type in the software development project, and it's going to be first ticket where we can create a new issue type into the software development project. And for the development issue type, we would like to have the below fields, and let's add summary, description, maybe attachment, assignee, reporter, and components. Alright, so we got 2 tickets, and it is because in order to complete the screens topic, I want to take one of the issue type as an example. So I picked the development issue type in the software development project. So imagine that we have received this ticket. So as a Jira admin, they're talking about the project called software development. So let's navigate directly to the software development in the Jira, and they want a new issue type called development. So when I look at the list of the issue types at present, I do not see the development issue type. So as a Jira admin, the first thing that we have to do is to add the development issue type into the project. So let me click on the admin coggle, and in the global level, in the issues option, if I have a click, so the very first page is issue types, where I can see already someone has created a development issue type earlier. So we no need to add the issue type again into our Jira instance. So directly we can navigate to issue type schemes. So in the issue type schemes, we have to find out which issue type scheme the software development project is currently using. Either we can search by name, or maybe if we scroll down a little bit down, I can see the name of the project, and then I confirm that ST Scrum issue type is currently being used by software development project. So in this particular issue type scheme, we have to add the development issue type. So let me click on 3 dots and let me click on edit. From the right side panel, let me drag and drop to the left side panel and let me save it. Alright, ticket number 1 has been completed. As we can see in the software development project, we do have a new issue type at the moment, and it's going to be development. And just give me one moment. Alright, does anybody have the Zoom link by any chance? Will you be able to share the same in the group? Someone is asking for the link. Lavanya, can you reply back in the chat? Alright, thank you, Arun. Alright, let's continue. So now step number 1 completed. We have added the development issue type in the software development project. And as we clearly know, whenever a new issue type has been added to the project, whatever the default screen given by Jira, or maybe we fixed it, it will be applicable to the new issue type. Now if we observe the fields that are displaying currently on the development are summary, components, attachment, description, reporter, and few other unnecessary fields like linked issues, fixed versions, epic linked labels, or something like that. So in order to create a new screen, let me directly navigate to the software development project, and I want to navigate to the screens page to have a look at the development issue type. So in the project settings of the software development project, if we scroll down a little bit down, and let me elaborate the issues where I can find the tab called screens, and let me click on it. Alright, by default the development issue type is taking the default screen scheme given by Jira, and whatever the changes that we made onto this particular screen will be affected or impacted by all the 5 issue types at the moment. So step number 1, what we have to do, we have to create a new screen. That is going to be step number 1. And in the ticket they did not mention anything like while viewing or while creating or while editing. All they want is the 6 fields onto the screen, which means while creating or while viewing or while editing they want to see all the 6 fields. So step number 1, we have to create a screen. Step number 2, we have to create screen scheme, and inside this particular screen scheme we have to map the issue operations. And step number 3, we have to navigate to this particular issue type screen scheme in the global level, and then we have to map the issue type development with the newly created screen scheme. Then the requirement is fulfilled. So at the moment I want to leave this page as it is, and then I want to perform the activity in the global level, and I want to come back to this page so that we will be able to see the newly created screen scheme with the development issue type mapping. Alright, so let me open a new tab, let me navigate to Jira. And it is the time for us to create a new screen in Jira. So in the global level, by clicking on the admin coggle, by choosing the issues tab, in the left side panel, if we scroll down a little bit down, we do have 3 options: screens, screen schemes, and issue type screen schemes. So the step number 1, screens. Let me click on add screen, and we are going to create a screen for the project software development, so the project key, and then we are going to create a screen for the development issue type, so the issue type name, and finally we are going to create a screen, so let me type the name itself. Let me take the copy of it and let me add the screen. A screen has been created successfully in the Jira instance. Now onto this particular screen, or maybe onto this particular template, a form, or a paper, we want to add the fields that we want to. So let me search for the screen name. We pull the screen and let me open the screen, which is completely empty. Now as per the requirement, let me quickly add summary, description, attachment, and description, attachment, assignee, reporter, and components. Alright, now we have completed step number 1, where we have created a screen. Now step number 2, inside the screen scheme we have to map the issue operations, right? The create issue screen, the view issue screen, the edit issue screen. So in order to map inside the screen scheme, we need to create a new screen scheme. So let me come back to the step let me go to the step number 2, which is screen schemes. And here I want to create a new screen scheme, and the new screen scheme name is going to be the project key software development. and the issue type name, it is going to be for the development project issue type, and then we are creating a screen scheme. Alright, since while creating, viewing and editing, we want to have the same screen, so whatever the default screen that we give in this particular option will be applicable to all the three issue operations. So directly inside this particular screen scheme, I want to map the ST development screen, and let me click on add. Alright, so step number 2 also completed. Screen scheme has been created successfully. And finally, step number 3, we have to navigate to the issue type screen schemes, but we should not create a new issue type screen scheme, because always remember, for each and every project there will be only one issue type screen scheme. If we want to make any configuration changes inside that particular issue type screen scheme, we have to get into it but not creating a new one. So we have to find the project software development and then ST Scrum issue type screen scheme. So inside this particular issue type screen scheme, we have to map the development issue type with the newly created screen scheme. Until now, the development issue type or Epic all are unmapped issue types, right? They were not mapped by default. So all those unmapped issue types will currently making a use of the default screen scheme given by Jira. So from the unmapped section, what we have to do is we have to map the development issue type with the newly created screen scheme. So we do have an option called associate an issue type with a screen scheme. So we have to choose the issue type development, and then we want an individual screen scheme, and we already created that particular screen scheme. All we have to do is to do the mapping ST development screen scheme, and let me click on add. Alright, the requirement has been completed. We have performed it in the global level. So quickly I want to navigate back to the project software development project settings and onto the screens page. Let me do a quick page refresh so that I will be able to see a new screen scheme, as well as I will be able to see the development issue type mapping to that new screen scheme. Alright, as we can see, currently the development issue type is mapped to a new screen scheme, and if we elaborate this screen scheme, while creating, while viewing and while editing, there is only one screen which is ST development screen, and we clearly know that there are 6 fields onto this particular screen. So let me quickly confirm the same while creating the issue. In the software development project, in the issue type development, I see summary, I see description, and then attachment, assignee, reporter, and finally components. And this is how we can complete the requirement that are related to screens, and it is a very basic requirement that I can talk about. And then I want to pick another ticket. Now imagine that the software development people are working in the development issue type or maybe other issue types for a very long time. It might be 1 week, it might be 1 month, or even it might be 1 year. And suddenly we got one of the ticket like, hi team, in the software development project, for the issue type development, once the issue has been created, users should not be able to edit the assignee field. Or maybe we can even say the correct terminology like the assignee field should be read only. Alright, so in the software development project, and we got the project name software development. And the second thing, that in the ticket we got the confirmation the issue type is going to be development. Once the issue has been created, so someone has created the ticket, what should happen? The assignee field should be read only. So let me directly navigate to Jira instance. So in the software development project, the issue type is going to be development and testing assignee. Let me fill the details. And let me click on create. So once the issue has been created, let me open the issue. The assignee field should be read only, which means it should be non-editable. No one should be able to edit the assignee field once the issue has been created. Now let me click on assignee and change it from Cecil to Jira admin 09. Let me click on assignee and let me change it back to unassigned. And let me click on assignee and let me assign to Oliver, which means I can edit the assignee field a number of times, right, whenever I want. So the requirement is stating that once the issue has been created, the field assignee should be read only. No one should be able to select, or maybe no one should be able to change the value inside the assignee field. And whatever the ticket that we are going to see right now can be applicable in a number of cases. In organizations, sometimes they might come and tell the description should be non-editable, the summary should be read only, something like that. So all we have to do is to understand the requirement. Instead of assignee, we can make a use of description or summary or something like that. Only the field names will vary. So step number 1 is all about to understand what exactly the requirement is and how are we going to implement from our end. Now they clearly told us, as per the requirement, the assignee field should be read only, which means it should not be editable after we create the issue. Now we clearly know that in Jira, if we have to talk about the screens topic, we do have 3 issue operations, right? Create, view and edit. And these 3 screens are the issue operations will comes under screen scheme heading. So screen scheme is a place where we can map the issue operations while creating which screen that we want to keep. Now at the moment, for the software development project, we clearly know that while viewing, while editing and while creating, we do have only one screen where there are 6 fields, right? Let me quickly navigate to the Jira. In the software development project, let me quickly go to the project settings. We are talking about the field on the screen, so we have to navigate to the screens tab. And in the screens tab, we are talking about an issue type called development. So let me elaborate the screen scheme and let me have a look. While creating, I do have ST development screen, and in the same way, while editing, I do have the same screen, and while viewing, I do have the same screen. Now in order to fulfill the requirement, what we have to do is, we clearly know that in this particular screen, let me open that screen, we do have a field called assignee, and in the same way, the same screen is applicable even to the edit issue operation, which means even in this particular screen there will be a field called assignee. All we have to do is to remove that particular field, then the requirement will be fulfilled. But the problem here is, while creating, viewing and editing, we do have the same screen. If I remove from this particular screen, the same field will be removed even from the view issue and while creating, right? Which means the user will not be even able to see the assignee field while creating the issue. So always remember, as per the requirement, we should be able to change the screens, which means now I clearly know, as per this particular requirement, while creating and while viewing, I can make an use of ST development screen. But now I want to make the change to the edit issue operation, which means I want to create a new screen, and then I want to remove the assignee field from it. And then inside this particular screen scheme, what I will be doing, I will be mapping the edit issue operation to the newly created screen. And then we will be able to see some other name here, and in this particular screen there will be no assignee field. So after the issue has been created, no one should be able to edit the assignee field. And that is the approach that we are going to do right now. And before that, I use the term we have to create a new screen. Now instead of creating, what we can do is, all we know is that we have to remove only the assignee field, right? Which means I can take the copy of this particular screen and I can rename it. So all the 6 fields will be displayed on the screen, and all I can do is to remove only one field out of it. So let me take the copy of this particular screen, and I want to be on the same page. I want to leave this page as it is, and in the second tab, let me go back to the home page. Now we want to create a new screen, or we want to copy the existing screen. All we have to do is, as a Jira admin, we have to navigate to the global level issues, and then we have to navigate to the screens page. Either we can create a new screen, name it, and add all the 5 fields instead of assignee field. But instead of typing all the fields one by one, what we can do is we can directly pull the existing screen. Sorry, just give me one moment. Coming back to the first tab, let me copy the name of the screen, and in the second tab, let me pull the existing screen where we do have 6 fields. So what I want to do, let me click on the 3 dots where even I can copy the same screen. A duplicate will be created. All I can do is to modify the name as per the need. Software development project for the development issue type, and it is not just a screen, it is going to be an edit screen, which means we can make and use it for edit issue operation. So the naming is always very much important. Let me click on copy, and before that, let me take the copy of the name. Now a new screen has been created or copied in our Jira instance. So let me pull that particular screen using the search bar. Alright, let me open the screen. Now we clearly know that there are 6 different fields on it. We do not want to edit once the issue has been created, right? So from this particular edit issue screen, I want to remove the assignee field so that it will not be edited once the issue has been created. Now I have removed the assignee field. Step number 1 completed, screens. And step number 2, screen schemes. Now we should not create a new screen scheme, because in the very first tab, as I clearly have a look, the development issue type has its own individual screen scheme, which means we are good to make any changes inside this particular screen scheme so that it will be impacted only to the development issue type. So all we have to do is, instead of creating a new screen scheme, we have to navigate to the old screen scheme that we have created. So in the second tab, where we are in the global level screen schemes page, we have to pull the existing screen scheme, and inside this particular screen scheme, now we clearly know for all the unmapped operations, which means while creating, while viewing, and while editing, currently ST development screen is being used. So I want to leave this particular thing as it is, and now I want to map the issue operation edit, and I want to map it to the newly created screen, which is ST development edit screen. And always remember, Jira will clearly let you know what you can do on a particular screen. For on each and every screen, there will be an option on the right side top. It will clearly define what we can perform inside this particular page. In this page, we can associate an issue operation as per our requirement, edit issue operation, with a screen, whatever the screen that we have created. So by clicking on this option, we clearly know that there are 3 issue operations in Jira. So for default, currently create, edit and view are making a use of the default screen, but I want to map only the edit issue operation at the moment. And for the edit issue operation, I want to choose the screen as ST development edit screen, and let me click on add. So that edit issue operation will make an use of ST development edit screen, and the remaining two unmapped issue operations, which are create and view, it can make an use of ST development screen as it is. Now even we no need to even navigate to the issue type screen schemes, because we clearly know that already in the issue type screen scheme there is an ST development screen scheme which is already mapped to the development. All we did is we just updated the edit issue operation, which means we cannot even no need to go to the step number 3, which is to make changes in the issue type screen scheme. Now just observe this particular screen, the edit issue operation. As soon as I click on refresh, it will be updated to ST development edit screen. Let me quickly do a page refresh. And let me do the elaboration for the development issue type. As we can see, the edit issue operation is now making an use of its own individual screen where there are only 5 fields but not the assignee field. And while creating and while viewing, we should be able to see all the 6 fields including the assignee field. Now let me quickly click on create, and now in the software development project, in the issue type development, I want to test the assignee field. And in the description, let's write assignee field is not editable once the issue has been created. And now let me assign this particular issue to Cecil. So we will not be able to change the value of this field once the issue has been created. And now let me quickly create an issue. And let me open the issue. So while creating, I see the assignee field. And on the view issue screen, I see the assignee field. Now let me try to assign the issue to someone else. Okay, it's editable, and just give me one moment. It's still editable and that should not happen. Let me do a quick analysis from my end in the software development project. So let me go back to the project software development, and we are in the development issue type. We do have ST development edit screen, and we do not have the assignee field here. Okay, I think maybe this test environment is not working properly. Whatever that we have done is exactly the same procedure, and I will have a look at why the assignee field is still editable, and I'll let you know the solution in tomorrow's class. But at the moment, what I will be doing is I want to take any other field like summary or description, and let's remove that particular field from the edit screen, and let's see if it becomes read only. So do not get confused. From the ST development edit screen, I want to test the description field, so I want to remove it. And coming back to the first step, I want to quickly do a page refresh, and then let me give a try for the description field. As I can see, the summary is editable and all other fields are editable. Since we have removed the description field from the edit issue screen, it is not being edited, and maybe it is not applicable to assignee, but I remember that I have performed this activity earlier, but it's not being removed, or maybe it's still editable after we removed the field from the edit issue screen. So let me quickly go to Google and let me find if I can find any documentation related to assignee field. Maybe I'm unable. or maybe how to make the assignee field read only in Jira. And we do have the documentation available, and let's see what the documentation will say. Okay, even one of the guy, he have mentioned the same thing. I've seen this question and asked and answered a bunch, but the answer doesn't seem to work for me. For example, in this answer, it says to remove the assignee field from the screen that is associated with the edit issue operation, and we have done the same. Well, I have done, and it hasn't changed anything. I'm still able to edit the assignee, and exactly even we are facing the same issue. We have removed the assignee field from the screen in the edit issue operation, and still we were able to edit the assignee field. In a related issue, when I was trying to make in a custom field read only, I was also unable to do that. I have custom field. This is related to something else. Let's see the answers from the community people, and let's see whether we will be able to find the answer at the moment, or whether we need to do some exploration on that. What about removing assign issue permission from all, but you wish to allow the privilege? Lower the step to change properties if you want. Alright, so one of the community leader from Atlassian, he have given some suggestion from the permissions. Assign issue permission, which is not important for us at the moment. The permissions topic will be discussed probably next week. But I found the second option is one of the good thing that we can give a try in terms of assignee field. Due to some reason, the Jira people did not even give the privileges. When we removed the assignee field from the issue operation, it's still editable. We need to follow some other way in order to make the assignee non-editable once the issue has been created. And it has been applied to all the fields but not to the assignee field for some reason in Jira. So for me, when I do the documentation exploration, I found that second point looks a little bit good to me, where we can give a try and where we can make the assignee field mandatory, maybe non-editable, sorry. So the second point states, place a property below on any status where you do not want to allow changing the assignee, and they have given some property here. All I can do is I can take the copy of this particular point and let me paste it in our reference notepad. In the screens, I want to paste this and I want to mark it in red. Alright, so the properties can be used on the Jira workflow statuses, and before getting into the properties, we have to learn how to create a workflow and what is a workflow and how the workflow will be worked and what are statuses and transitions. And once we completed that particular topic, we will be able to understand how we can place this particular property on that. So at the moment, forget about the assignee field but understand the topic, since we have already seen the same example for the description field. And once we have completed the workflow topic, I want to come back to the same point and then let's try to apply this particular property, and let's see whether are we able to make the assignee field read only. So let me mark it in red. We'll discuss about this in the workflow topic. So before talking about anything else, does anybody have any questions in making the field non-editable once the issue has been created? We have taken the description field as an example. Now it's not editable. Any questions from anyone?
Not sir.
Okay. And Srikant, any questions?
No, sir. No questions.
Okay, thank you. Alright, now let me quickly take one of the other ticket as an example. Hi team, in the software development project for the issue type development, we would like to have a new field called due date. So I want to quickly talk about the high level. Now, alright, quickly I want to create one of the project in Jira, and it's going to be Scrum project, and it's going to be company managed, and let me name the project as game designers maybe, and let me keep the key game as it is, and let me click on create. Now designers project has been created, and forget about the project lead at the moment. Understand that it is an ongoing project in our organization. Now we clearly know, if we have a look at the screens, just give me one moment. Okay, by default we do have bug individual screen scheme, and for all the unmapped issue types we do have a default screen scheme, and the same thing will be applicable even to the issue types. Whenever a new project has been created, a new project will be having the default issue type: story, bug, epic, task, and subtask. Imagine that the project lead of the game designers have raised one of the ticket. Just give me one moment. Hi team, for the project,
Game designer.
yeah, game designers, we would like to have the same configuration as similar to software development project in terms of issue types and screens. Alright, this is the ticket that we have got from the project lead or the scrum master of the game designers. So as per the ticket, we understand that they are talking about the project called game designers, and they are stating that we would like to have the same configuration. Configuration is nothing but the settings that are related, as similar to software development project. So they have even talked about another project which is software development in terms of issue types and screens. So what exactly that they are telling is that whatever the issue types and whatever the screens configuration that are performed in the software development, we want the exact same similar configuration even in our new project called game designers. So what we can do, let me go back to Jira. We are already in the game designers project issue types. Now we clearly seen what is the issue type scheme that we have and what is the configuration we have in the game designers. Now they want the exact configuration as similar to software development project. Now in the second tab, I want to navigate to the issue types page in the software development project. Then I want to compare, and then accordingly I can make the changes. And just give me one moment for me. Yeah. Alright. And let me open a duplicate tab. So in the first tab I keep the game designers project, and in the second tab I want to keep the software development project. And I'll give you one shortcut here. When we have a look at the URL, forget about the very first one. It's just the common URL and something else. But I can see the term issue types because we are in the issue types page. and right before that I can see the project key. For the game designers project, the project key is going to be game. So in the second tab, we are already in the same page, right? Instead of navigating to project, software development, all I can do is I can update the project key from game to software development ST. But we have to make sure that we know the right project key. Let me click on enter. So we directly fall into the software development project. We are in the issue types page. Now in the software development, we do have the default issue types: story, bug, epic, task and subtask. Apart from that, we do have another issue type called development. So we want to add the development issue type to the game designers. Now if we have one issue type, that's completely alright. We can spend some 5 minutes of time and we can add the development issue type. But what if we have some 8 to 9 different issue types and we do not have the default issue types? We cannot go and spend that much of time, right, when we know some other shortcut. So in the ticket they clearly mentioned that they want same configuration. So what we can do is, the configuration that we have for the software development project is ST Scrum issue type scheme in terms of issue types. If I apply the same issue type scheme for the project game designers, it is completely alright, right? We will be getting the same configuration. So what I can do, I'll take the copy of the issue type scheme, ST Scrum issue type scheme. Then in the next tab, we can make a use of the same tab, but in order to avoid confusion, I just took the next tab. As a Jira admin, we can perform this particular activity again in the global level. And we are talking about the issue type schemes, the configuration of the issue type. And here we do have a project called game designers here. Currently the game designers project is making a use of the game Scrum issue type scheme. But the project lead of the game designers told that whatever the software development project is using the configuration, we want the exact configuration. So all I can do is I can move the game designers project right here, which means the same ST Scrum issue type scheme will have two different projects associated to it, which means the same configuration of the software development will also be able to map to the game designers project. So the thing is very much easier. All we can do is to click on three dots, and here we are even learning about the new option called associate, which means connect or maybe attachment. Let me associate this particular issue type scheme even to another project which is going to be game designers. So by clicking on associate, currently the ST Scrum issue type scheme is mapped only to one project, which is software development. On my keyboard, I want to hold control. I want to press control so that the software development project is already been selected, and including I'm doing the game designers project, which means this particular issue type scheme is now mapped to two different projects, which is software development and game designers. And the reason why I said that we have to hold control is that if I do not hold the control key and if I choose the game designers, automatically the mapping with the software development will be gone. And if I click on software development without touching the control key, the selection to the game designers is gone. So in organizations, if we have some 14 to 15 different selections, and if we do not use control, and if I simply select the game designers and if I click on associate, it will create a very big problem, right? All the 14 other projects will be impacted. So it is always important for us to hold the control key before we make any changes. Just in case if we do any mistakes, instead of clicking on associate, we can click on cancel. Now we clearly know that we want two different projects, software development and game designers, for the same issue type scheme. Let me click on associate. As we can see, the same ST Scrum issue type scheme is now being used by not just the software development, even the game designers project is using it. So coming back to software development, if I do the quick page refresh, nothing changes because we do not touch the software development project. But coming back to the game designers, initially it is game scrum issue type scheme. We have updated the issue type scheme in the global level. So let me do a quick page refresh. Now I can see the game designers project is using ST Scrum issue type scheme, and we can see story bug including the development issue type. So which means as per the requirement, we have completed the issue types configuration. Now the game designers project is having the same issue types as similar to the software development project. And even they want the same configuration for the screens as well. So in the first step in the game designers project, let me navigate to the screens. Now it is making a use of its own issue type screen scheme. It is a new project. In the same way, in the comparison, the software development project, I want to navigate to the screens page where I can see some configuration. I don't know what it is as a Jira admin because we might not know from when the software is being used, the software development project. A lot of configurations might have made. So what we have to do is we want the game designers project to make a use of the same configuration as similar to software development, which means even the game designers project should make a use of the issue type screen scheme which is being used by software development project. So let me take the copy of the issue type screen scheme of the software development project so that I can search for it in the global level. And in the third page in the global level, we are talking about the screens topic, and we are not touching screens or screen schemes directly. We are touching the main heading which is issue type screen scheme. Control F and Control V. I found the issue type screen scheme being used by the software development. So right before this issue type screen scheme, I want to map even the game designers project. Currently the game designers project is making a use of the default given by Jira, and the project lead of the game designers do not want to use this and they want to use this configuration. All I can do is I cannot click on three dots because for the screens we do not have an option called associate. So always remember, if we want to update the scheme for the screens, all we can do is we can navigate directly to the project. In the project level, we do have an option called actions, and always remember only Jira admins will be able to see the option. First of all, the users of the any project will not be able to see even the project settings button. Project settings button, no one will be able to see it except the Jira admins and the project admin or the project lead. And coming into the project settings, the project lead can see it, the project admin can see all these options. But inside any page, the project lead and project admin can see everything, but the project lead and project admin cannot see the actions button. The actions button can only be seen by the Jira admin. And the reason why we use the action button is to switch over to a different issue type screen scheme if we want to. And only Jira admin can perform this activity. So in the project level game designers, we want to use the scheme of the software development project. So clicking on actions, I want to use a different issue type screen scheme for my project game designers. And the new issue type screen scheme is going to be the issue type screen scheme of the software development project, ST Scrum issue type screen scheme. And let me click on associate. Now as we can see, the game designers project is now making a use of the ST Scrum issue type screen scheme, and I can see all the configuration that is similar to software development project. Where I can see the development issue type even in the game designers, and for the development issue type, whatever the changes that we made in the software development is being reflected. And also we can clearly see that this particular screen scheme is shared by two projects at the moment, game designers and software development. And even I can see the same. And coming to the issue type screen scheme, we can find it in the global level. Let me do a quick page refresh. Now as we can see, the SD Scrum issue type screen scheme is currently being used by two projects. They are game designers and software development. So mostly in organizations, the reputed organizations with the high number of projects, they can make an use of the shared configuration across projects. Instead of having multiple schemes, they will set a standard template or the standard configuration like this one, and they can map all the new projects to the same configuration. When we do that, the data usage will be very less, and that is the reasons people in organizations will make an use of the same configuration for multiple projects. Now in Jira, if we talk about anything, I can see some connection, right? This particular issue type screen scheme is connected to this project, and this one is connected to this project. Now I want to delete this particular issue type screen scheme, so let me click on three dots. I was not able to see the delete option because we do have the connection or association with something. It might be related to issue types, it might be related to screens, or it might be related even to issue type screen scheme. But on the very top I can see game scrum issue type screen scheme, where it do not have any mapping to any project. So if I click on the three dots, I can see the delete option, which means I am free to delete this. So always remember, if we want to delete any configuration or any scheme in Jira, we also have to make sure that there is no connection. So we have to shift that particular connection. It might be project, it might be scheme, to something else, and then we will be able to delete that from Jira instance.